Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Sarah Sperber and I am a realtor in the Northern Nevada market. I serve Reno, Sparks, and all of the surrounding areas. So if you're in need of anything real estate related, give me a shout. But on today's video, I'm going to be talking about the reasons why many Californians regret their move to our area. If you've been following me for a while, I actually made this video a little bit over a year ago. So this is my 2024 update. You're not gonna wanna go anywhere. Make sure you stay with me because at the end, I'm gonna give you a bonus reason that you may not have thought of. So let's just start off with the weather. We are in not just the desert, we're in the high desert, you guys. We are in the Sierra Nevadas and we get weather and we get it on like kind of a bipolar spectrum, right? So there will be some days where it is absolutely beautiful out and it seems like in no time it's raining or snowing. It's just part of living at altitude. I work with a lot of relocating buyers and a question that always comes up is like, how bad is the snow actually? If you live up at lake level in Lake Tahoe, their snowfall the last 2 winters has broken like 100-year records. It's been a lot. Down here in Reno, we still get snow, but it's not anywhere near as extreme as living at lake level. There were probably, if I'm being honest, about 4, maybe 5 days last winter where I actually had to shovel my driveway. That should give you an idea of, the level of snow we deal with here in Reno. It's nothing like you've probably seen dramatized on the news at Lake Tahoe, though we are close to the lake. So that said, if you are a skier or like a snow sports individual enthusiast, you might like living here because you kind of get all the perks of living close to the snow and close to the mountains, yet you don't have to deal with nearly as much snow removal. That said, in the summertime, we also experience extremely hot and extremely dry conditions. We had several days this past summer that were over 100 degrees, and let me tell you, at that point, it's not even fun to go sit at a pool. You're just like, I need to be inside with air conditioning. So you might want to keep that in mind, though. If you're coming from California, depending on where in California, you're probably already acclimated to that kind of weather. All right, number 2, this one's kind of a big deterrent in my opinion when compared to cities of similar size in California and frankly all over the US. Reno has terrible public transportation. We have a bus, but honestly, I wouldn't recommend taking it. It's pretty gritty still, and on top of that, it has very, very limited schedules and routes. So if you're under the impression that you can move here and rely on public transportation, you are gravely wrong, my friend. You're gonna need a car. You're gonna need one, I'm sorry to say, but like unless you just so happen to work in like Midtown and you find a house that you wanna live in Midtown that's somewhat walkable, you're definitely driving. So you're gonna wanna keep that in mind. We do have Uber, we do have Lyft, we have, all the ride share, and that's only gotten bigger and better as time has gone on. I mean, I think 9 times out of 10, I will take an Uber to the airport, and it is pretty reliable throughout most of the city at most hours, but you're definitely not gonna wanna rely on that. Overall, that's gonna be a lot more expensive than just buying a car or coming here with a car you already have. Okay, I'm gonna kind of piggyback on to my earlier topic when we're talking about extreme weather. That also kind of goes hand in hand with higher cost of some utilities, right? In the winter, you need to heat the crap out of your house. And in the summer, your AC is cranking or else you are miserable. And so usually in places you deal with some form of extreme, right? But like here, I think what makes it kind of unique is that you deal with extremes on both ends of the spectrum. So you have to make sure that your home is very well equipped to heat and air condition itself. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable, and you're also going to want to account for the fact that your utility bills are going to be probably significant in both winter and summer months. All right, another thing you're gonna wanna keep in mind if you're coming from California, as of now, and let's just say as of now because it is rapidly growing and developing, but as of now, Reno, by comparison, is probably gonna have a bit more limited cultural diversity, cultural events. I mean, we have a thriving arts and culture scene, but as far as, like diversity and having festivals and events, I mean, we're working on it. We had the Italian festival here a few weeks ago. That was great. There are lots of fun events, but as far as like coming from California, you're probably gonna get here and feel like it's a little bit lacking, but we're working on it. Let's move on to entertainment. If you're coming from San Francisco, LA, some of the bigger cities in California, you're probably gonna get here and feel like it's very small. And, the band touring route and the circus touring route and all the, the circuits that kind of move through major cities. Reno's on some of them, but it's also not on a lot. Our index of venues, I would say, is pretty healthy for a city of this size, but, it's no LA or San Francisco as far as that goes, although things are constantly being built and developing here. So I would just say give it time, but I wouldn't come in expecting to be completely entertained and have, multitude of options every single night of the week. That's just not what it's like here yet. Up next, we're gonna talk about some of the limited shopping complexes. If you live in California, chances are you have access to a fair amount of high-end shopping outlets. I mean, that's just kind of part of life in LA especially, and certainly in San Francisco. I mean, maybe not every part of California, but in general, you have access to some of that. Here, that's really not the case. We have one pretty decent shopping complex. It's called the Summit Sierra, though they did just rename it, and I'm drawing a blank on what the new name is, but locals here are forever going to call it the Summit Sierra. It's in the deep south part of Reno, where they have retail, restaurants, and they've put in a few other little things. I know there's a lot of like outlets. They have like a Lululemon, they have the Mac, the only Mac store in all of Reno, like Mac is in Apple, is down there. But as far as like destination shopping, there's really only that, and then there's something kind of similar in Sparks called Legends. It's like another outlet mall where you kind of walk outdoors in between stores, but you're not going to get the same kind of level of those amenities as you are in major cities in California. Up next, we have to talk about the wildfire situation, you guys. It's serious. Serious in that it's come a little bit close for comfort recently. The Davis fire happened just maybe a month or so ago, and it ransacked through Washoe Valley. It came up very close to the southwestern part of Reno, and it was super scary. A lot of people were evacuated from their homes, though I think there was pretty minimal damage overall. But because it came so close, I just learned this today as I'm trying to get homeowners insurance for a home that we are purchasing. A lot of the major companies who are not local are refusing to insure homes because the fire was close. And with that, you're also going to want to be aware that sometimes when the wildfires are close, we deal with a lot of unpleasant factors, right? There's smoke. The air quality can be really tough to handle. If you're somebody with asthma or other breathing challenges, or, you have young children who have those conditions, you're really going to want to consider, because there are some times where it's impossible to be here. Like during the Caldor fire, which was either 2021 or 2022, that broke out down in the South Reno area. It was so smoky, you guys, I could not even see the car in front of me driving down the highway, and it was miserable. We were all inside running air filters, but the entire West Coast honestly was like on fire. There was nowhere to escape unless you wanted to get on a plane and go to like the East Coast or something. So you're gonna wanna really make those considerations. Those are serious factors and realities of living in this area. All right, you guys, I promised you that if you stayed with me, I would give you my sort of bonus reason, and it's one that is kind of double-sided. So I think a lot of people assume that Reno is cheap, right? There is this common misconception to people who don't live here. The people who live here, let me tell you, they're livid. And people who grew up here and can no longer afford to be here are extra livid. But people who are moving in from, say, California or other states or like affluent areas have this preconceived notion that Reno is going to be so much cheaper and I'll be able to get so much more for my money. And depending on what you have and where you are selling a home to buy here, that might be true, but it's not really as cheap as you would think. Our median price per square foot in like Reno Sparks is well over $300. Our median sales price is around $600,000. That's for a pretty basic, not starter home, but definitely not a luxury home either. So you're going to want to make those considerations. If you have questions about what you can afford or what, if you have a pre-approval, what that might look like in our market, just reach out, book a call with me. We can hop online together, or, I can do some virtual touring with you, but just make sure that you're really understanding what it looks like here. All right, you guys, that is all I have for you for today. If you have any other questions about life in Reno or the real estate process, I am here to serve you. You can book a free call with me. There's a link to do that in the show notes. It's no obligation, just an opportunity to connect and see if we might be a good fit to work together, or at the very least, get your questions answered. And if you haven't already, please, pretty please, hit that like and that subscribe button. I put out new videos every single week about the Reno Sparks housing market, the Northern Nevada lifestyle, and of course, all things to do with buying and selling real estate. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next week.